Hi everybody, welcome to your reading. Today I've been guided to do a reading for Divine Feminine or Divine Feminines on their twin flame journey. I just feel the energy is a little bit all over the place, and if I can help in any way, I am, as people who know the channel know, I am a Divine Feminine who has been on the twin flame journey. So hopefully, if I can help in any way, I will. As we all know, everybody's journey is different. Everything will resonate differently. There are so many people on YouTube with their guidance, wonderful guidance for the twin flame journey, and you will find the person that you resonate with the most, is what I want to say. It took me quite a few times to find somebody, and I could recommend people, which I may do in times to come, but I just know how the analogy that's helped me, because there are so many different interpretations of the twin flame journey, and I am a huge advocate of Abraham Hicks, as you know, their work, Law of Attraction, Manifestation, and they have helped me immensely, and I found people who resonated with them. So if this doesn't resonate with you, please find somewhere that does, that will help you. Okay, old school, outdated thinking, conditioning, replaying events over in your head. Okay, yeah, that's the energy I've been picking up on. That I think a lot of the Divine Feminines here are a little bit stuck. I don't like the word stuck, because it isn't a case of being stuck, it's a case of just not knowing what the next step is, which I totally get. Outdated thinking and conditioning, which would immediately tell me that you're probably thinking from the ego rather than the soul, and this is a soul journey. Yeah. So you're dealing with a runner, as is common but not always the case. The Divine Feminine does tend to be the chaser, but not always. And if you are a Divine Feminine who is the runner, then this may not be your reading, but let's see how it goes. So running away, so your Divine Masculine is running away, intensity and letting go, turmoil and fleeting. So this would tell me that you're quite early on in the journey for the Divine Feminines today watching. And if you are in the early stages, I just am so with you. It's not the nicest journey. The only thing I can say is it does get better. It really does get better. I've been there. I've been through the dark night of the soul and thinking I was going bonkers and thinking I was losing my mind and wondering what on earth this whole twin flame journey was, and I just could not get my head around it. I'm an Aries sun, and any of you who are Aries out there, you know that we don't do patience and we don't do instructions. Well, certainly this Aries doesn't, so it was really tough for me, but hopefully I can help in some ways talking. So yeah, you're waiting for the messages. It looks like you're in a ghosted situation, or I don't like the word ghosted. I think for twin flames, it's not a case of ghosting. It's the new terminology of someone not talking, but actually it's the dynamic that's required within this journey to progress it. I know that sounds bonkers as well, but it's true. It's, again, anything I say is my interpretation of the journey. It's not necessarily the truth. And if you are at all interested in the workings of Abraham Hicks, Esther always says that whatever makes you feel good and makes you come from your soul is correct for you. So if it makes you happy, and really happy, as in makes you, as I say, tuned in, tapped in, turned on, and you know when you are that person, then that's fine. Yeah, separation, stop, silent treatment. Yeah, that's where you are, divine feminine, and I'm really sorry about that. So what do we do when we're in this position? So from what I've learnt and from what I know, you can do whatever you want. There are no rules. You will find some stations that say you must detox, you must do this, and you must do that. Yeah, that may help in the early stages. That may help, but you have to find some sort of balance, and it's very difficult when you're in the early stages to do this. And all I would say is you cannot make your twin come to you. You cannot, in the material physical world, make your twin come to you. That's why the coaches will say detox, take them off your phone, go no contact, and all that. I don't like any of these phrases. I really don't, because the other side of all of this, and the one that I eventually resonated with, because again, I mentioned Abraham Hicks, what you give out, you get back. What you think becomes. What you think, say, and act becomes your reality. So if you start doing these, no, right, I'm not going to talk to him, I'm going to take him off my phone, it will happen to you. So yeah, that's all I need to say right at this moment in time. However, that said, you do whatever is right for you. All I will say is, if you keep pushing, you keep texting, you keep wanting to speak to him, no judgment whatsoever, but it will keep it looping, and it will keep this dynamic, this feeling totally, oh look, there we are, twin flames. Yeah, all you're wanting is union, because it feels like a romantic connection. You won't want to hear this right now. If you are in the early stages, it isn't a romantic connection. I thought when I had that in, when I found channels and that's what was being said to me, I was like, are you bonkers? Of course it's a romantic connection. What are you talking about? Wow, I was really young on the journey. But yeah, that's the way it is. I urge you to find somebody, a coach on YouTube. I also had the mentor of a friend of mine. I like to call her a friend now. She was a really good mentor, and she helped me along this journey. So it looks to me like one of you, I'm going to go with the divine masculine, is in a current karmic relationship, although they're still keeping an eye on you. There may have been a bit of lying from their point of view, because from their point of view, they can't cope with the intensity of this connection either. I don't talk too much on the divine masculine side of things, because again, there are different dynamics there. Some divine masculines do go from the are spiritual, but a lot of divine masculines are not. They are purely from the material world. And therefore they won't understand this. So they won't understand the emotions. I mean, let's face it, us divine feminines didn't understand the emotions, and you as you go on the journey, you start to understand it more and more. The huge piece of advice I have for you right now is find somebody on YouTube and start doing the process. Start doing it, because it will help break the cycles. Why do I keep saying this? Sorry, Beanie's on duty tonight. Hey, hey. So why do I say cycles? It's all a part of the divine feminine's learning. I don't like that, but yeah, and how it, in layman's terms, how it gets you to understand the spiritual side of this journey, because it is definitely a spiritual connection. It is spiritual from the divine feminine's perspective. Specifically, the divine feminine is the one that does the work, the spiritual work, the awakening, in my humble opinion. And therefore, the more you think about the divine masculine and what they're doing, and are they doing the work, and this, that, and another, some coaches will say that they are doing the work and that will be reflected on you. No, again, from my point of view, it's all about you. It's like any situation. It's the same as, and as you go through the journey and progress through the journey, you realize that your other relationships and other situations reflect pretty much the same. And it's what I've always said: what you give out, you get back. How you treat others comes back to you. And it is about conditional love, but it's conditional love for the self. You get to the point where you are totally at one with you. You don't want to hear that right now. I know that, and I understand that. But just putting it out there, I was in exactly the same place, and I was really I really dug my heels in. I wasn't going to have anything to do with the twin flame journey. I wasn't going to have anything to do with it. And it wasn't until excuse me, apologies. It wasn't until I started to understand what was going on that I realised, and it's quite recently that it all came together, and I'm now in divine union. I'm not saying that that'll trigger a lot of you, I know, and I'm really sorry, but all I can say is, honestly, if I can do it, anyone can do it. I was so totally against it. What else can we say to our divine feminine? Please, Alice, what can we say? Like I say, I am totally in your corner, totally with you. Okay, what advice can we give to the divine feminine who's with us today, Alice? Yeah, you do mirror each other, without doubt, because what you give out, you get back. It's self-reflection, inner wounds. And interestingly enough, and I know this isn't a romantic connection as such, but I saw one, I think it was a relationship coach, and not many relationship coaches know about the twin flame dynamic, but what she said is, we date our trauma. And that really speaks to me, being a divine feminine. The divine masculine is definitely there to mirror your childhood wounds and help you to repair them, because it's not until you repair them that you will gain in a union. um yeah, you're definitely quite early on in the feminines I'm talking to are definitely early on. I think you're probably looking, yeah, thanks Alice. Some of you are thinking, right, well, if it's not him, and I'll go and find somebody else, fine, and that's perfectly understandable. Again, something that most divine feminines do. um However, good luck with that. So, but it, it might work for you. It's it might at least help distract you, but no judgment here whatsoever. um yeah, I'm getting that energy of you because of this karmic tie that your twin is in. um you're thinking, right, well, if he can do it, what's that phrase? It, if it's good for you, it's good for me. What you give out, you know what I'm saying. And yeah, you're you're feeling a bit sneaky about this. But yeah, thanks Alice. What Spirit wants to say to you today, Divine Feminine, is with a positive mindset, you can manifest. Remember, I was talking about Abraham and manifesting gratitude and bliss and blessings. When you get into this manifestation way of thinking, and start to think about what you're saying, thinking, and feeling, what you give out, you get back. I had a really good example the other day of this. Can you give it to me again? So okay, this is a silly one, but it's still a good one. So I was out with Beanie, giving her a good walk, and we were having a great time, and everything was really fun. And I'm thinking, I always gauge where my vibration is by who comes across my path, who I meet up with. And if people are grumpy and their dogs are mean, obviously no dog is mean, they're only mirroring their owners. And apologies if you have a mean dog, but anyway, moving quickly on. um and if someone's a bit grumpy, that's me. I have to clean up my act because that's what I'm projecting out. And I was walking Beanie and Poppy the other day, and there was these two people, and they had two dogs, and they were just the nicest people. And Beanie's very timid. I'll talk a lot about Beanie because Beanie is my little soulmate, and actually she's been in this life before with me as another dog. But anyway, that might freak you all out, but I hope it doesn't, because it's just the hugest blessing I've ever had in my life. And anyway, so they were really lovely people, and I thought, oh great, excellent, I'm vibing right. And today, I'm just going to tell you the practices I do to help me vibe properly. So another little example, we all do it, and again, not a judgment, just a fact, but we all have this waking up at 3 o'clock in the morning, and all crap goes through your head, and you think, what's this all about? And I started not so long ago overriding that thought process. So I was like, no, not thinking that, because that is not true. Nothing is truth unless you believe it. So I started affirming, just may sound silly, I'm worthy, I am enough. I am worthy, I am enough, I'm happy, I'm joyful. And just at 3 o'clock in the morning, this is just kept saying that over and over again, to the point now, if I wake up, I start immediately saying it. And it always has a positive effect. And this morning I woke up and I thought, today is a good day. Today is going to be a good day. And today has been a brilliant day. I've completely, where I used to look at people at work and start having inner dialogue about them, and sometimes in a bit of a judgmental way. If something happened, I'd just look and say, I'm observing that, and that is it, and move on. The reason I'm telling you this is because when you start doing things like that, when you start taking care of your thoughts, then everything else starts to fit into place, and your twin is pretty much in that bracket. I hope that makes sense with some of you, but this card is what's made me say that to you. Positive mindset. If you're feeling negative about your twin, you can't stop. Let me tell you this, you can't stop this karmic relationship. This is going to happen. You can't stop it. So you might as well think better thoughts about it. Just think about, when you're thinking about this, just think about the good things that you like in your twin or anybody. It doesn't have to be your twin. And as Abraham Hicks says, go general. Think about somebody who brings joy. That's why having Beanie for me has been a huge blessing, because if ever I start thinking awful things, we all do because we're all human, we're here for the human experience, I immediately turn my thoughts towards her and what joy she brings me, and it immediately lifts the energy within. Hope that makes sense. Okay, what else can we say, Alice? What else can we, how can we help our divine feminine today? I really hope this is resonating with someone, and more importantly, I hope it's helping somebody out there. I would love for you to comment if it has helped. If it's not helped, if you think it's a load of rubbish, that's fine. That is totally your prerogative to think that. Because, like I say, nothing is true. The only thing that is true is how it resonates with you and what you believe. So you won't offend me. Oops. Okay. A few more cards, Alice, for our divine feminine today. I'm going to be doing regular readings for the divine feminine, because something tells me that's something that Spirit wants me to help with, and that's what my intention is, to help as many people as possible in whatever journey they are in. Okay. How else can we help our divine feminine today, Alice? Oh, that's a funny old cup. Yeah. Divine guidance, believe, pay attention. Dreams, very important in this journey. It would be a really good idea to either have your phone close to you, although I know that's not necessarily healthy to have your phone close to you in bed, or a notebook and pen, and write down your dreams. They may mean nothing to you at the time, but eventually they will mean a lot to you. Divine guidance is coming to you through your dreams. Another thing I want to tell you about this journey, although you may not believe it today or right now, but you as a divine feminine are protected by Spirit, and they are helping you through this journey. So this is why dreams are important, because it's the way they can get to you. And the way they'll get to you is give you images or words, depending on how you receive your guidance. We all receive it differently. I'm sure you don't need me to tell you. It's either clairsentience, clairaudience, clairvoyance, claircognizance. So thoughts, feelings, words, knowing are the four main ones that I know of. and it'll come to you in some way. So do pay attention to your dreams. Family comfort, moving house. I'm going to take that as moving house, as in moving thoughts. Moving, our body is our house. Our body is our home. It is our sanctuary, and that is why it's good to take care of yourself, have good self-care practices, because that's again telling the universe that you love yourself enough to take care of yourself. So I think some of you are having a change of thought in possibly diet and, you know, what you are eating, drinking, etc. Yeah, divine timing, patience. I know that word, we hate it, don't we? Patience, but it is true. In this situation, divine timing, it doesn't, everybody will say to you, don't wait for your twin. Don't wait for your twin. But if you're in the early stages, that's the last thing you want to hear, because that's all you know. Divine timing is, my interpretation of divine timing is, the quicker you understand the journey and the quicker you understand your place in this journey, for want of a better way of putting it, the quicker things will materialize. Your awakening will happen, inner union will happen. And look, you can't make this up. Law of attraction, within reach, positive mindset, exactly what I was saying. Have that positive mindset. Do your affirmations. Again, I used to do, years ago, I've got Louise Hay's book, You Can Heal Your Life, and I strongly recommend it to anybody on this earth. She is a wonderful, wonderful, you call them influencers these days, don't you? But yeah, a wonderful motivational coach, and her book, You Can Heal Your Life, is absolutely tremendous. And now Abraham will say you can't fake it till you make it. I'm not going to disagree with that, because I'd never disagree with anything they said. However, I sort of did fake it till I make it when I first started, only because I'm that type of person. I need to have a habit. If I make something a habit, it becomes my reality. What I mean by that is, if I make a habit of affirming things on my way to work or at a certain time, I'll make myself do it until it becomes a habit. Does that make sense? So affirmations, like I said to you about waking up at 3 o'clock, I made myself say these affirmations to begin with. Now when I wake up, I naturally go into that. Hope that makes sense. Yeah, and there's travel. It could mean that you're traveling. It could well mean that you're traveling, but to me, new places, new experience. This goes with the mindset change, the mindset shift. I think possibly some of you are ready to do this mindset shift. So I'm hoping that the advice that I'm giving is making sense and will help you. Toxic codependency, addictions, karmic controlling. Yeah, again, this is your twin. They are in this energy. You will help them come out of that energy by changing your mindset. How does that work? Not for me to really say. I'm not a twin flame coach. However, you do mirror one another, and what you give out, you get back. So it's not just your twin, it's anybody that you meet, but you can put it into this connection as well. I don't think I said that quite right, but I hope that helps you. And out of that, the self-help that you do gives personal development and growth. I hope that, is that in focus? I hope so. The growth that you will get from this mindset, from this change of how you're thinking about this this connection. Yeah, you're going through time apart, you're missing them, they're missing you, but they don't see it like you do. They see it from the materialistic side of things, just so that you know. And then underneath, be careful, red flags don't rush. So this isn't going to happen overnight. This is, like I said about the habit, you need to do something that becomes a habit. And then it's just like second nature. It's like, it becomes like brushing your teeth. So I hope that helps. What else can we say, Alice? Any other? Which deck? Yeah, let's go this deck, because this is for the Divine Feminine. I've got a new deck called A Pop of Love, but I don't think I want to use that today. We're going to go with this deck. Now, what advice have we got for our Divine Feminine now, Alice? I really, really hope this has helped some of you. Okay, 11th hour call. You may be hearing from them. You may be hearing from them soon. How you deal with that, up to you. I know how I deal with it. I'm not going to say, because I'm a naughty Aries. So at this stage in the journey, I would have dealt with it differently to how I would deal with it now. That's all I can say. I hope that makes sense. Because no one can tell you what to do. Or the only reason I'm saying things is because I don't want your journey to be long and painful. I want it to be short and joyful. So I hope that makes sense. A couple of these, Alice? Yeah, a couple of these. So I'm going to do these as often as Spirit calls me to do them, because obviously there's going to be different people watching. So yeah, perfect. Education, a course or training. Exactly what I was saying. Find somebody who speaks to you. Please don't. No, I'm not going to say don't. That's a ridiculous thing to say. You'll be watching loads of tarot readings and stuff like that. That is an absolute, and if you're not, I apologise, but most Divine Feminines at this stage in the journey are watching loads of tarot readings. You're watching this, you know, but hopefully you're watching them and they will help. What I urge you to do, don't stop watching them, because why would you? I mean, you're not going to do that, because at this moment in time, that's all you've got. You know, you have to cling to whatever you can cling to. What I would advise is that you just widen your cinematic experience. That's not really something to say, but what you're watching to a coach. Find a coach that resonates. There are so many. There are so many, and I've gone through so many until I found the ones that resonated with me. And yeah, purify your motives. 1111, there's your twin flame. Purify your motives. Think of others. So what's that? That is basically, again, what I was saying. Clean up your vibration. Think kind thoughts where you can. It's not, Rome wasn't built in a day. This isn't going to happen overnight. But where you're thinking bad thoughts, or, you know, not nice thoughts, you're a human being. It happens to all of us. No one is a saint here. If you are, I apologise, but I don't think anyone's a saint. And just start to clean up your vibration. Make that your intention for now. It's like Mel Robbins says, I think it's Mel Robbins, do it for now, you know, and then that backs up Eckhart Tolle's wonderful presence. Always be present. What's his book? Oh, what is his book? I can't remember his book. I've got it as well. But it's all about now. You can't do anything about yesterday. You can't do anything about tomorrow. You can only do anything about now. And that's why having a good mindset is the best way. Okay. Spirit is saying, do pull one of these cards. I'm going to. This is the Pop of Love card. It's really cute, and it's good fun. It's sort of a little bit, it's a bit sort of, what's the word I'm looking at? It's straight to the point, doesn't sugarcoat anything, but I like it. It's different. So what's our final piece of advice, Alice, with this card? One more? Okay, cool. Yeah, I just saw insecurities. That goes without saying. At this stage in the journey, you're not just insecure, you're almost manic. Or certainly I was. Okay, one more card, please, Alice. One more card. Okay. Oh God, I just went to look, twin flame. Yep. There we are. So we know we're right. Right. So it says deceit, but this person's wearing a mask, and I believe that's your twin. They're wearing a mask. Their actions are not matching their words. Living a lie, won't even admit to themselves. So that pretends their feelings for you do not exist, and they are dismissive of you. That is just how they are dealing with the intensity of the connection. Like as I said before, I'm not saying they're not spiritual. I'm sure they are, and there's going to be some divine masculines out there who are going to give me heck, but most divine masculines are looking at this from the material world. This is your soul in two bodies, if that makes sense. And the divine masculine has an ego like you have an ego, the human experience. So they're using the distractions. We've all done it. Everybody uses the distractions, like that the card here of going to find another partner as a distraction. There'll be a lot of distractions, and there's many ways of getting those distractions: food, alcohol, gambling, porn, of course. I'm not allowed to say that on YouTube anyway. But yeah, all of those. It's just hiding wounds and not being truthful to yourself. But anyway, so just that's Alice's last piece of advice, so that you know he's kidding himself. So you just get on with you. Hopefully the things I've just suggested will help you. Just try one and see what happens, see what the outcome is, and hopefully it will help you. I really, really hope this has helped somebody out there. And I will see you again very soon. Thank you very much. Bye bye.